Welcome to the Astro Observers. My name is Karl, also known as the Galaxy Man. This is my September 2020 observing highlights, which I had two nights at two different dark sites and two different telescopes. And the first night is with my Astro Systems 22-inch f4.5 Dob with Swayze optics in it, great mirror. And this was on 9/19/2020. And the dark site is it's about a little over an hour drive away from me, and it's one of our better local dark sites. This night I considered good as far as sky conditions. The transparency was pretty good, but the seeing conditions were a little off. What I like to do is on the first object I like to go to is something familiar, to get an idea of what sky conditions are like. And of course, this is the Ring Nebula, M57 in Lyra. And I used a 9mm 100-degree star view eyepiece, which gave me 278 magnification. And the view was really good. I mean, it was really good. I could tell the scene was off a little bit. I could see the central star. It wasn't easy, but I could see it. So transparency at this time I thought was pretty good. Scene was off a bit. And I took the telescope and swung it over to Pegasus to look at a favorite object. This is M15 in Pegasus, a great globular cluster. And unlike some other great globular clusters of the sky, say like M22 or M13, where they're very large, where a lot of the stars are all compact together in a very large sphere. Most of the stars on this object are towards the center, and then these other stars radiate beyond it. And the view in the 22, and here I used a 10mm eyepiece at 250 magnification, was really spectacular. It did give an effect of a large spiral galaxy. The core of the cluster was very intensely bright, and then you could just see all these stars radiating away from it. It was just a really a perfect view. Well, Pegasus, of course, is loaded with galaxies, and this pair here is NGC 7457, which is the brighter galaxy, of course, right here. And then this dim UGC galaxy right here, UGC 12311. And here I used a 8mm Delos Teleview 8mm Delos eyepiece, which is 313 magnification. And it really gave a wonderful view of the larger, brighter galaxy, which I also call the football galaxy because of its football shape. It showed a nice bright core, little stellar nucleus, and of course its shape was very apparent. The background galaxy here, which is almost edge on, is around 15th magnitude or so. It wasn't hard to see in this eyepiece, but it really makes a nice contrasting pair. This is NGC 7448 in Pegasus, and it's a really nice inclined spiral galaxy. And as you can see, I did bump the magnification up a lot. And the reason is because I wanted to see some internal detail here in this galaxy. Now, I did mention about the seeing conditions. Now, the thing is about seeing conditions is doesn't mean that it's continuous, that it's going to be all night like that there's not moments of good seeing. Seeing will actually steady. And that's why it's good to be patient, no matter if you're observing the moon or planet or even out to a galaxy. And if you want to see some detail, you got to wait for moments of good seeing. And that's what I did. I was really kind of very patient observing this galaxy. And one of the things I really wanted to go for was this knot or patch right here, which is a grouping of bright H2 regions or nebula in this false color image. And what I have here is what I call near view. It's not a photograph or a drawing per se. It's a representation of what I saw through the telescope. and it showed a little bright stellar nucleus, large bright core area, very mottled. And then the southern part of the galaxy extended a lot. But up here in the north west section of the galaxy, you can see where that little knot or patch is. And I was able to make that out. I thought if the seeing conditions were a little better, it might have been a little easier to see. But that's what I really wanted to go for, and was able to see it. And while observing, we got a text message about a supernova in Pegasus. And NGC 7722 is the galaxy. And so I kept the 5mm eyepiece, where I actually found the galaxy with a lower magnification eyepiece. But to really see the supernova well, I think the supernova was around 14 or 14.5 magnitude at the time. I needed to get a little bit higher magnification, and that gave the best view at 500 power. And here again, like I said, I waited for moments of good seeing, and the supernova stood out well. My second observing section was 2 nights later, and it was with a much smaller telescope, a GSO 6-inch f5 Newt, with an Explorer Scientific Twilight mount. And this is really a good combo. The telescope itself has really fine optics. I'm really surprised how good the optics are in this telescope. So this night, I couldn't travel to the farther dark site. So I went to more of a local dark site, only a half hour away to the north. And it's a good dark site, not as good as the previous site, but it's a good dark site. But the conditions this night was far better. The transparency was excellent. The seeing conditions were very, very good. Overall, I consider this an excellent night. And here again, the first thing I went for was a familiar object. And here is M27, the Dumbbell Nebula. And I used a 12mm eyepiece. It gave me 63 magnification. And the view was really, right away, I could see, oh, this is going to be a good night. A lot of detail with the dumbbell. It stood out really, really well. We could see the classic dumbbell shape. And then this outer part that you see in this photograph here, I was able to see, and that was without a filter. No problem whatsoever. So this was really, I could tell right away this was going to be a really good night. I really enjoyed this view. So since the night was really good, I went for NGC 6826, which is also called the Blinking Nebula in Cygnus. Now here I went as high magnification as I could go with a 3.2mm eyepiece. It gave me 238 magnification. Now the Blinking Nebula is small, and the reason they call it the Blinking Nebula because it has a very bright central star. That if you stare at the bright central star, right at it, it seems like the surrounding nebula fades away. Then if you offset your vision a bit, look off to the side, it'll seem like the nebula will grow. And if you go back and forth doing that, it'll give what they call a blinking effect, hence its name, Blinking Nebula. So I was able to, even though larger telescopes at higher magnification, it's much easier to do, I was still able to do it with this telescope and this magnification. Really an enjoyable view. This was, I thought, my view of the night with this telescope. And this is NGC 6992, which is part of the Veil Nebula complex. This is the eastern part of it, which is the brightest part of the Veil Nebula. And this spectacular image here. And I was surprised how much detail, using a 20mm 70-degree eyepiece with an Orion Ultra Block filter. It gave me 38 magnification. How much detail was actually seen in the veil. This tattered rope appearance was being seen. But I thought was interesting were these extensions out here. And I was able to see that. So much of the detail that you're seeing in this photograph, I was actually able to see in this 6-inch telescope. So the night was really, really good. I'm going to do another galaxy here. And this is called Mirax Ghost. It's NGC 404. in Andromeda. And this is the bright star Merak. And it's a beautiful star, gold star. It really has that color of gold to it. Even in smaller telescopes, it really radiates this beautiful color. And then you have the galaxy right here, NGC 404. And they call it Merak because it actually looks like a reflection off the star. Now, some people like to use much higher magnification and take the bright star out of there. But I do like the overall view of both the galaxy and the star. And the galaxy with the 6-inch telescope showed a nice little bright core and a nice round disk that was slightly modeled. It was really a nice view. I really enjoyed it. I was using a 9mm eyepiece, which gave me about 85 magnification. And this was the final view of the night, or shall we say the grand finale view. And of course, it's the Andromeda Galaxy. And I was using the 20mm 70-degree eyepiece, which really gave a really good view overall of the galaxy. There's two companion galaxies, M32 and M110. Because the night was so good, I was actually getting nice detail out of the Andromeda Galaxy itself, including some of the dark lanes I could see. The core was very vividly bright. Some of the outer arms, I could see some modeling. M110 showed really well also, showed some nice brightness towards the center part of the galaxy, looked very large. M32, of course, sticks out really well, no matter what scope you're using. It's very bright. But overall, the whole view of this galaxy with this telescope and eyepiece gave almost like a binocular type view, but of course using 6 inches of aperture. So it was a really good way to close the observing session and my deep sky views for September of 2020. So that's my highlights for September 2020.